So excited. I get to be here with Robert Silge, who is the LDS Hospital allergist. I feel like there's a time of year that hits when I don't know if I'm having a cold or if it's allergies. How can I tell?
Yeah, so that's a really common question we get. A lot of the times it's really, the symptoms are pretty similar, you know, so you get the runny nose and congestion and that sort of thing. Itching is usually more significant with allergies. You also have other stuff going on with the eyes, oftentimes being itchy and red and bothering you. And colds, you just generally have more of that kind of body ache and tired and run down, that sort of a thing. So lots of overlap there, but just kind of the itching. And then what time of year is it? You know, if you're feeling that way in late January, probably not your allergies because the pollen's not out yet. March could well be your allergies.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Have spring allergies already started to hit?
Absolutely. So some years it can be like the last week of February, but generally speaking, March, middle of March, we're definitely in tree pollen season. So that's going now, and it will keep going probably through about May.
And is it the warm weather that kind of starts that, or what is it?
Yeah, it's as if you're a tree, there's a few signals that you're looking for. So it's a change in the weather, and then also daylight hours, you know, having more daylight and things like that. That's just kind of the signals that they're looking for as far as when should I start making pollen. And so, you know, and in fact, in some places you're actually seeing that creep up as it's getting warmer globally. It's starting to start earlier and earlier. So, you know, mid-February, and some years we'll get things much earlier.
So chances are, if you're feeling these symptoms right now, what are some of the main symptoms people are feeling?
Generally, kind of what we were talking about earlier, lots of runny nose, itchy eyes, sneezing. Sometimes people will have itch they can't really pinpoint, you know, it feels like your ears are itching or the roof of your mouth is itching. Those are all things that are pretty common with allergic rhinitis, our big fancy word for allergies.
That is a fancy word. So what do people, what are the best treatments for allergies?
So there's a lot of options, right? So you can do simple over-the-counter things, your antihistamines, some of those nose sprays, those steroid nasal sprays are over-the-counter now, and that is a really good treatment for a lot of people. But if that's not enough, then there's other things that you can do if you see your doctor or specifically see your allergist. We can do allergy shots, immunotherapies, the big fancy word for that. We're basically kind of re-educating your immune system and teaching it not to be allergic. And of course, you can also figure out exactly what you are allergic to. So if you're on the fence and you're saying, gosh, is this just a cold? Am I having really bad allergies? I've never had allergies before. This seems weird to me. You can do some testing and some skin testing and figure out whether you're really allergic or not. If everything comes up as negative, then okay, let's go in another direction. But if it comes up as positive, then we got some treatment options for you.
I think it's interesting that you bring up someone might think that it's a certain allergy, but really there's a different cause. I thought it was interesting you said some people think they have a food allergy, but it's something different.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's this thing called oral allergy syndrome, or some people call it food pollen syndrome. But there are proteins, mostly in fresh fruits and vegetables, there are some proteins that have structural similarities to pollen proteins. And so if you have all these allergic antibodies against pollen proteins, and then you eat this fresh fruit or vegetable, those antibodies, usually in the mouth, kind of look around and say, aha, it's a pollen, I'm going to grab onto it and cause this allergic reaction. But they're wrong, they're tricked. Now thankfully those proteins are really unstable, so they break down really quickly. So you don't get whole body allergic reactions, but you can get a lot of itching in the mouth, maybe in the throat. So people will say they see that with apples or avocados, or, I mean, there's pretty much any fruit or vegetable can do it. Bananas, there's some kind of more common ones, but anything can do it. And then they think they have food allergies, but it's really that they have bad seasonal allergies, and this is kind of this cross reaction that happens. If you can peel the fruit, so obviously it doesn't apply to a banana, but like an apple or a peach or something, if you can peel it, those proteins tend to be more concentrated in the skin, and so oftentimes people will do okay if they're just eating the meat of the apple, but avoiding the skin.
Avoiding where the proteins would be. Isn't that so cool? I mean, I thought that was such an interesting thing. I have that with tomatoes.
Yeah.
I think I definitely have that with tomatoes, and I didn't know that until today. So someone out there suffering from allergy symptoms, you've had enough, over-the-counter treatments aren't working, go visit LDS Hospital. Go see especially Robert right here, who's the hospital allergist.
Well, I'm not actually at the, I should clarify
Okay.
that. I'm not at the hospital. Hopefully not at the hospital, right? Because that means I've got a patient admitted, and that's no good. We don't like that in allergies. So I'm usually at the Memorial Clinic.
Okay.
But I can go see people at LDS if I need to.
And can they find you through LDS Hospital's website?
That might be, or just Memorial Clinic. I think it's the Memorial Clinic website, which now you're going to put me on the spot. I think it's memorialclinic.org.
What's the phone number for there? No, I'm just kidding.
There we
can
go.
find
801-464-7510. That one I know.
He does know it. Okay,
There you
be
go.
sure to contact your allergist. Get it taken care of. You don't need to suffer through the symptoms for the whole season. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
And teaching us all about these allergies that we're all dealing with right now. Coming up in the